July 21st, 1996. Independence Day was the top-grossing film for the third week, creating the formula Will Smith plus Aliens equals box office gold, which After Earth would later destroy. The Daily Show premiered. No, not that one. The one with Craig Kilborn. At the Atlanta Olympics, the Magnificent Seven stuck the landings in all of our hearts. Meanwhile, in Vancouver, British Columbia, the People's Posse took on Camp Cornette at In Your House International Incident. This is Hell in a Cell Phone. Welcome to another episode of Hell in a Cell Phone, the podcast where we attempt to make sense of the Attitude Era of WWE 20 years later. I'm Aaron Benoit, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host as always. First up, Bobby Hankinson.
Hi, everybody.
Bobby, how was 1996 for you?
Oh my god, I had the best, blowout, the best, blow-dried back poof hair.
I was thinking it was a different kind of blowout.
Oh, wow. I wish I was that advanced. But I definitely did also have a leather zebra print Shawn Michaels motorcycle hat, which I will mention on every episode as long as he wears it at the pay-per-view.
I just brought it up so that I could bring up the fact that I was just moved to Maryland. I was miserable, and I had to go see Independence Day with my mom because I didn't have any friends yet.
Oh.
It was like the most angst-filled time. And I wasn't even watching WWE at the time, so I didn't even have that to fill the time. It was just staring at the walls.
I was watching WWE as it was happening in '96 at this point, and this is probably the last year that I was friends with the neighborhood boys. Where we'd all run out and play tag, and we'd play
was it Spanky and Buckwheat and Alfalfa?
You know, the neighborhood boys.
We found a tire once and we rolled it down the street.
Honestly, pretty much. That's generally what it was. Then we were all now we're all in puberty, and I was like, oh, I'm super gay. I don't want to do any of this sports shit anymore.
And we also have Eric Silver as well.
Hello. You heard me before I was introduced, but it's okay.
If you remember from last time, Eric has never seen any of this. This is all brand new to him, and he is our gateway into the WWE of the past.
Yeah, I've only seen this special now maybe 3 times, which I feel like makes me a real noob.
So the special that he's talking about is In Your House International Incident. Took place in July 1996, Vancouver, British Columbia. And I guess we should just get right into it.
Yeah.
I liked right at the very beginning, even when they were with the TVPG, for suggestive dialogue on this one here.
Yeah, that's a pretty, it's an understatement, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, it basically that is entirely for Jerry Lawler and just him being an ass the entire pay-per-view.
Suggestive dialogue right there.
Boy,
he was an arse.
I do love that when they cut to the superstar line. That thing's also got kind of hot in that area,
my God.
too. You had to get too far ahead, but I mean...
Yeah, you went too far ahead because there's so much I have to say.
We talk about suggestive language. On the party line, they're essentially pushing.
Well, it started with earlier tonight where Vader attacked Jose Lothario, who he can be on every single pay-per-view. Jose Lothario, just a wonderful, wonderful man.
Why do they always bring up that he's got a switchblade? Every time he's got a switchblade. It's so racist. Also a little bit boring because it's the same shit.
Oh, yeah.
It's that weird racism. Really? That's the one that's the stereotype that you're going to stick with? We got a new addition to the announce team tonight. I think the first appearance that we've seen of Jim Ross.
Oh, I mean, as far as we've seen.
As far as we've seen, on the
yeah,
he seemed new to me. Who was the last one? Was it JB?
It was Owen Hart was doing guest commentary in the last one.
Yes.
So I think last time it was Vincent Kennedy McMahon, Jerry Lawler, and Owen Hart.
And now we've got Jim Ross, who hasn't quite figured out what his shtick yet is. He's got that wonderful late 90s tuxedo shirt with no tie and the big button up at the top. Look.
He also looks like, every time I saw his face, he looked like he was in the middle of a stroke.
Ooh.
Is that mean?
So, funny you should bring it up. No! He has Bell's palsy.
Oh, God!
And so, that is accurate. Good observation. I mean, accurate.
I didn't even write that in my notes. I just pulled that from Recall.
Wow.
Funny thing about Bell's palsy, on Night
Court. Can't wait to see where this goes.
No, it's a great joke. No, on Night Court, the person who originally played the court clerk, who was supposed to be the love interest of Harry Anderson, she had to leave 10 episodes into the first season because she had Bell's palsy and her face kind of like froze. It cleared up later, but
waiting for the funny part. Or is it just bringing up Night Court? It just makes you laugh.
It's just funny that Bell's palsy was a thing in another fact that I know. Not funny for any of the individuals. And
Sure.
You're like, listen, I'm a huge supporter and ally to the Bell's palsy community. I know all of their I know all their major figures.
Yeah. You are seen.
First match of the night was the Smoking Guns versus the Body Donnas.
Wow, what hypes a crowd more than kicking things off with a non-title tag team match?
And why was it a non-title? Like, what was the reasoning behind? It's a pay-per-view.
Nope, nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I do want to give it up to the Smoking Guns, A, for being smoking hot, but B, also for, I believe, pioneering the art of wrestling in jeans. A art we've seen carried on today by one Dean Ambrose.
Dean Ambrose lives it.
The lunatic fringe.
Before we get too far into this, can I ask, why is it an international incident?
Because it's in Canada.
Oh, that makes more sense. I was just like, what is going on? Why are you naming it like this?
They used to film primarily almost, I think, for a while exclusively at Madison Square Garden for a very long time. That was like their home base, kind of like NXT always filming in Florida. Mm-hmm. They filmed Madison Square Garden, and they would film Raw weeks at a time, which also explains in the pre-show why they were like, Ultimate Warrior suspended, but then he was also on that episode of Raw and got beat up by Camp Cornette because like that was already filmed before he skipped out.
Yeah, so he was like Ultimate Warrior is like suspended indefinitely. What was the real reason?
For a reason. He didn't show up.
Yeah.
He didn't show up to house shows. There's a bigger, larger contract negotiation thing happening behind the scenes where I think he was upset. I want to say about merchandise sales, something like that getting cut, or it might have been something with booking decisions.
They didn't sell enough streamers. They weren't pushing his streamers like he wanted.
But whatever it was, there was an actual like real disagreement with management, and so he no-showed a bunch of dates. And they actually fired him. But we need to keep in mind during this, specifically this pay-per-view that's like kind of interesting, is that this is when WCW is like catching fire. Like right now is when like NWO is like happening and like it's getting very exciting and cool over there, and this is what WWF is doing.
See, it's funny because I did notice that, and this is going far ahead, but Heartbreak Kid at one point said, "What you gonna do?" And said like when whatever rolls all over you, and I was like, that sounds like that's a Hulk Hogan thing. Had Hulk Hogan left for WCW at this point?
Yep.
That's not cool.
Yeah, this is like the very this is like the spark of the powder keg of the Monday Night Wars is like happening right now as we're watching.
Okay,
this.
I
mean, I liken this part of WWE's evolution to the Fast and the Furious movies. Like in the first one, they're just a bunch of street racers who
watch what you say because I have not seen past the first one.
Look, all you need to know is that they both get better when The Rock is at it.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, and so eventually they'll get to the point where they're literal superheroes who can do just about anything.
But back to this tag match, because we do have to cover it, even though it was not much to discuss.
Well, I mean, there's a lot to discuss. I'm sure every fan there was buzzing about the absence of Cloudy.
Oh my god, that promo!
Which was explained away with like, we decided we didn't need her anymore. I was like, what? That's it?
But this is also like a WWF that didn't like just drag bits out until to death.
Just abandoned. I mean, this whole pay-per-view is so full of just like ad hoc, like everyone is like flying by the seat of their spandex pants. Like it is absolute insanity.
I really liked how the Body Donnas at one point, they were like, we want to thank all the fans who sent us.
The fans are now behind us.
They sent us letters and I think it was like emails and telegrams to be our new manager.
They were singing telegrams.
There was a line at Western Union of people just going,
"Dear Skip, stop. I would like to be your manager. Stop."
Send help.
There's actually in the Raws leading up to this, there was a campaign where people were sending in videos, and the videos were going on, and each one is more awful than the one before it.
This was a real thing?
This was a real thing.
They didn't read any of the telegrams? I've never seen one in real life that hasn't been in a movie.
Oh, they hadn't gotten to him yet. They were still waiting for the Pony Express to carry him across the mesa.
It's like absentee ballots in elections. They don't ever actually get to them.
There was so much happened here, and so little that happened here at the same time. At one point, I liked when Vince McMahon started talking about the Godwins for some reason, and JR tried to bail him out and be like, I think you mean the Body Down, and he's like, nope, no, I did. I meant the Godwins. That's what I meant. Don't correct me. That's exactly what I meant. And you're like, they're not in this match. So.
He was talking about, like, who's got the most speed?
And also the Godwins are two huge hillbillies. You're like, they're not known for their speed, Vince.
Did he mean speed like the drug?
Yeah, I think they're all on speed.
I need to say, Vince McMahon is a pretty good announcer.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes, I agree.
As
100%.
far as like the history of WWE, I would put Vince McMahon probably in the top 5.
Oh yeah.
He's got a very steady voice. Sometimes I guess this is just part of the game, but like sometimes he called it before it happened. He's like, oh, he's gonna put him in a tombstone. No, I was wrong. He didn't put him in a tombstone. No, he'll put him in a tombstone. Like, it was almost like he was looking at a script and going, this is the time for the tombstone.
But also, he knows what's happening. I mean, he's still kind of like running the show at this point. And I feel like everyone's screwing up. Like, I feel like that was the Smoking Guns missed like this like that leapfrog spot on the ropes, and it was so embarrassing.
Oh yeah,
and the crowd gave them like a sarcastic standing ovation. I mean, like that was pretty good. Like I feel like this was a good reminder that I feel like watching WWE today and seeing the crowd kind of like be sarcastic and like know it all and like be smart because I'm like know better. I was like, oh, that's like a recent thing, and it's not. No, they were always doing that. They were doing that this entire show. The show in particular because it was so bad.
No, it's just back then the audience looked like a bunch of goblins.
But also, I think they were the Attitude Era starts to do better stuff in terms of storytelling, offensive stuff and whatever. But we'll get to all of that. But this was such a bad pay-per-view, and this match was really bad and was badly wrestled, and like everything about it was bad and had no stakes.
Can I ask you, did you know Harvey Wippleman?
Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about Harvey Wippleman because Harvey Wippleman just looks like the stereotypical 1980s like the doorbell rings for the date. I'm like, I'm so excited for my date with Steve the Hunk, and it's Harvey Wippleman, and he's got a flower, and it falls over, and it goes sad trombone. Meow.
I have Harvey Wippleman looks like he has to tell the neighbors when he moves in.
I remember Harvey Wippleman as a heel like manager. I didn't remember him as a referee. This was I didn't remember much about.
I'm sure some referee going by the rest of this pay-per-view, some referee got injured and they just had to throw him in at the last minute.
Well, it's insane how many referee names I remember watching this. I was like, oh, there's Earl Hebner. Oh, there's Jimmy Corderas. I'm like, how do I remember the names of the referees for this? It's so terrible.
So Wippleman is definitely a stage name, right? It's like Charles Atlas and some bullshit. Like it's like it might as well be like Steve Limp Dick Man.
I look at that man and believe that he was born a Wippleman. His family whippled before him.
I am a son of a Wimple.
He does wear the Wippleman crest on his referee shirt. So we also I'd be remiss to leave this match and not talk about how hot the Smoking Guns are. I think that it's my duty to talk about that. I think Bart Gunn looks like a young Randy Orton. Anyone else get Randy Orton vibes?
No, Randy Orton to me always looks like he is telling somebody to get out of his trailer. But you know, he just seems so on his own as like a look to me. But I also didn't pay much attention.
Because you know, like contemporary Randy Orton. If you go back to when Randy Orton like started debuting in the Ruthless Aggression era, he was just like a kind of like an Abercrombie model that was bitten by a radioactive spider. Sort of.
Oh, is that where the voices come from?
Yeah.
We also need to talk about the amazing acting job that Sunny did.
Sunny's collapse, I put it's like Gone with the Wind level. She's like fanning herself at one point.
And then when she looks directly at the camera and is like, I'm not actually hurt. This is all a ploy.
I had just read this week one of those like pro wrestling history posts about Sunny specifically and Skip, because Sunny and Skip were an item.
Oh.
Skip, real name Chris Candido, overdosed. Like one of the big, like
was Skip the more attractive of the body dominants?
Yes,
okay,
yeah.
Neither of them are that attractive.
Zip is Tom Pritchard, who's actually still a really important backstage trainer, who like did a lot of training, like worked a lot with the women specifically. Like he's really great, but Zip is stupid.
He was also the one who decided they should put triangles on their crotches to accentuate things.
Hey, I'm not complaining. But Skip and Sunny were dating, but also Sunny, I read so much crap about Sunny, how she slept with everyone. Literally.
That Jezebel.
No, but she slept with the entire clique. She slept with Shawn Michaels all the time. She slept with British Bulldog. She slept with all of the guys.
British Bulldog was a married man.
Oh, yeah. Also, and they all kind of treated her like garbage, in the worst way. She got slopped once by the Godwins, and the night they were going to slop her, all of the guys jerked off in the slop bucket before they
That's
yeah
not that professional.
This is the level. This is the WWF at its worst is what we're in right now. I actually think this is it's worse now than it will get. It'll get worse on screen, but I think this is the worst off screen that it ever was.
Can I tell you on that note? Can I tell you kind of a sad story? When I've watched these, every time I've watched the pay-per-view, I've been like, man, Sunny's very attractive. So obviously I looked, and there is a porn clip where it's something about Sunny naked, and I was like, okay, well, let's see what this is. It's her in a photo shoot, and it's basically her just kind of taking photos and trying to take off her top for 2 minutes, not being able to do it, and there's an Aerosmith B-side playing in the background. It's
that all trash.
The most pathetic thing. I was like, oh, this is not even this isn't even fun porn. It's just sad. And you made me sadder. Thank you.
I used to have a very weird psychosexual relationship with Sable, and I still even to this day can't unpack it properly. I was infatuated with her in a way that doesn't make any sense because clearly I wasn't interested in her sexually, but I was in love with her in a way that made no sense. But that was I never cared for Sunny.
Listen,
I
we're
always
all on
loved
the spectrum.
Sable. Yeah, Sable was always
I also had it for Sable, but I had the
so
Sable Playboy, so I got over it.
You worked through that.
Yeah.
But this match was useless and nothing happened, and it was very poorly wrestled. The spots they missed were insane. It ended with a missile drop kick. It's cool.
Oh, I was good finishing flying kick off the top rope, but I'm wrong.
Oh, it wasn't great. And also, again, didn't matter.
Yeah. So one thing I noticed was, first of all, we kind of talked about this before we started, but Jerry Lawler's commentary was at an all-time, I don't know if you want to say low or high, but it was absolutely terrible. Some of the quotes I have are, she been on so many blind dates, she's gonna get a free dog.
I, to be honest, laughed at that one.
Oh, God.
That one I was like, oh, that's actually kind of funny.
Boo.
Sorry. That was
no, it's,
but
hey,
look. This is bad. Oh, but Eric, this is not
you
the
also
worst.
laughed at a stroke victim earlier in the podcast.
I didn't laugh. I just pointed it out. I didn't realize.
Jerry Lawler will get so much worse. So much worse.
This one's really good. Have you seen my Olympic medals laying around here? I want to show them to Sunny. What did you win those for? Don't worry about it. It's like he's making it harder on himself. Why would you back yourself into that corner?
I just love that it's 1996. It's Atlanta Olympics, and they're like, you got to time the Olympics as much as possible. Bring up the Olympics whenever you can, however you can. Doesn't matter how. This is what we're doing.
Oh, he brought up a lot of movies. Oh my God! During the Goldust stuff, he brought up a lot.
But that was Goldust's whole thing. Was that it's all movies, and he was really leading to that gimmick back then.
So the Smoking Guns suffered the wrath of grapes as they were.
No, that was Jake the Snake suffered the wrath of grapes. Is what he was saying.
Oh,
that's.
I thought it was when he got when Billy got hit in the nuts and sold it so beautifully.
That is was beautiful. He landed an atomic drop, so he landed your crotch first on someone's knee.
And he just walked around and just kind of shook for a while.
As we all do.
Yes. Billy Gunn is a great seller. I always remember that as time goes on too. Also very hot. But he was consistently making fun of Jake the Snake Roberts' sobriety the entire show.
Yeah, that. Oh, really? Really, Bobby? I didn't notice that.
But that's what he suffered the wrath
I actually
of grapes.
did not notice.
What?
Hold on. We'll
okay, yeah, we'll get there.
But he's Jake the Snake the first man who suffered the wrath of grapes because he's a drunk.
Got it.
That's the wrath of grapes.
Yeah.
Fucking smart.
Again, pretty good. Honestly,
once in a while, I will give it to him.
Pretty good one, I gotta say. I hate what you're doing, but you're doing it well.
Don't worry about it.
So that's when we went backstage to Camp Cornette, and that's where where Jim Cornette accused Jose Lothario of pulling out a switchblade for absolutely no reason.
He also I thought he was very gauche talking about money the way he was.
7, 8, 9, 10 million.
Just counts millions. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 million, you know.
But I have to say, so the British Bulldog is undeniably a star in the ring. Every time he talks, it's like he's remembering how to speak again for the first time.
Like he's an actual bulldog. And it's like, I'm in a human body?
My wife, oh boy, my wife Diana is going to stay in the locker room, which I thought was going to be 100% like she's going to come out of the locker room and that's going to be a major... Nope.
That was it.
That was it.
That was it.
That part of the segment.
British Bulldog, one of the only wrestlers at the time that I was like very much having a crush on, the British Bulldog.
Yeah.
Once he shaved like the Cancun braids off.
His Bahamas braids.
Yeah,
were
that had to
like
go. But
absolutely the worst.
after that, I was like, I'm into that.
I really liked how Vader was photobombing the entire time. It's like he's just like, hey guys, I'm behind you.
And I love how he was throwing stuff around the locker room the entire time, but you could barely see it. Like it was only in like the corner of the frame you'd see him throw a plastic trash can, and then it would just kind of like fly across the front right there. Just like, I'm so angry.
I love Vader. I love it to this day. I remember as a kid being like, yeah, I was like so into Vader because like he was just like a big scary guy that did pretty cool stuff. And to see, he doesn't do this, but to see Vader do a moonsault, which we'll see eventually at some point. I forget like when he does it, but he did it often. And it's
he did a
pretty
Vader
fucking
bomb,
cool.
and the Vader bomb was not impressive to me.
No, but it's a devastating finisher, Eric.
Devastating. We'll get to that.
I like the Vader bomb.
It's been a while since we recorded our first episode of this, so we do need to acknowledge that Vader did pass in the interim from this year. But
good job,
just
Bobby.
I was speaking of him with great reference.
Yes, I think we all have been.
I don't know.
Vader.
That's not what I remember. We'll have to listen to the tape back.
I love Vader. Also, like, big... I think we talked about this in the last episode, too, but I have to say, again, big up to the props department, to the mask department. They were really, like, pushing the limit of what a mask is. Because this is, like, not really a mask as much as it is, like, a bunch of... like straps on a face.
You know those shoes that women wear where it's like
gladiator
it's like
sandals.
the straps
Gladiator
that go
sandals.
all, What's that?
Gladiator sandals.
Gladiator sandals. Yeah. It's like that, but on a face.
But on a face, exactly.
It's
100%.
like that weird kid who put all the rubber bands around his face back in middle school.
I also
Aaron,
want to say
that was you. Wasn't it?
that kid.
No, that was when I was at home during that summer.
Mom, I said take a picture.
We're not going to see Independence Day again, but I'm going to my room with my bands.
One thing about Vader passing, he passed at, I looked this up, he passed at age 63, and he was wrestling pretty much up until then, which I think everyone was like, oh, Vader, he's a Hall of Famer. At some point we have to acknowledge that like wrestling killed him, right?
Actually, he's the one that I'm not as sure about because he doesn't seem like he was like genetically the healthiest to start with.
I guess.
And being that he lived through as long as he did, I don't think he was like a wrestling killed him type as much as he was like a. I don't compared to like a Chris Candido Skip, who I was like, well, the wrestling industry killed you.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Vader, I think the thing we need to focus more on was why he wasn't inducted into the Hall of Fame while he was alive, because like he's been known that he was dying for about 2 years now.
He knew he was dying for 2 years?
Yeah.
He had like a heart thing.
Yeah.
So they were like, you don't got much time.
So, and then he was like, well, might as well just keep wrestling on the indie circuit.
I want to check your sources on that one, Eric.
Well, Wikipedia told me that he was wrestling until like 2017, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, I don't think so. He was walking with two crutches near the end there. I'm pretty sure.
We all know that that's what they use in ring. It's like the kendo sticks. Is that worse or better than the Bell's palsy?
Vader was great though, and he was such like a great monster heel. But he's also like known as being like one of the hardest people to like work with in the ring because he would like actually beat the shit out of you. Oof. So truly, everyone was like terrified to work with him because he would like honestly beat the shit out of them. He would just punch him in the head repeatedly. Like he was known to being like a really stiff worker and all this stuff. And I think it's just good to know.
Isn't that what they say like Ric Flair was like too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of the old school guys I feel like
Andre the Giant. We got a lot of great revelations from him from that documentary.
there's another side to that documentary, but we won't need to go into that here. We can keep going.
Well, okay.
Well, there's been talk about how that documentary was also used to sanitize Hulk Hogan so he could be reinstated in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I don't think.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Wow. Eric has a lot of like hot takes on this.
Hey guys, I'm here and I boned up.
But Vader also, like, his eyeball came out during a match once.
You told me about this, and every
Yeah,
time
I think we talked about this in the first
Okay, I
episode.
can't help.
Yep, we
Can't
talked.
bring it. It's just I can't
Nope.
not think about it.
You'll mention it
Anyway.
next time.
All
But
right,
speaking
so
of great masks, also Mankind. Mankind,
yeah.
I think one of the best characters ever made by the WWE.
100%.
100%.
And we went into that a lot last time. But I feel like this is more an elegy for the Godwins
Yes.
because they're not long for the WWE, and they're
Phineas stays around for a very long time. Phineas will be there for many years still.
in the same shtick.
Nope. Phineas will transition to a character called Minion and will be around will be paired with the Undertaker's Ministry of Darkness and all kinds of stuff for a very long time.
So I stand by my earlier
Oh, the
statement. The
God-
Godwin, like that kind of shtick is
Oh, yeah.
as the Monday Night Wars begin to heat up, that kind of thing is going to go for, like the fun, like, hey, we're just a couple of fun
Yeah.
hillbillies. Watch us dance in the ring.
Well, we're in the transition from the part, we talked about this a little bit after the last episode too, of like where everyone had a job versus like, then we went to these more like characters and like rock starry kind of personas that were like just bigger and charismatic, but there was still coming to the point where like, and he's the IRS guy, and he's the dentist, and he's the cowboy, and
Yeah.
he's the clown, and like all these things where that's the Godwins were certainly came from that.
My note here is like the juxtaposition of Mankind's music to that banjo. And first of all, they didn't even play the banjo. I mean, I don't know what was going on with the banjo in the stadium, but that was some ADR shit where like they put the banjo in post because it was just like pure banjo track. It didn't have any of that echo like you were recording in the stadium. But I have the note that this is a lot like that Polly Lou video where it's on Above Average, where it's the Dark Knight and 60s Robin, where it's like Bane versus Batman, and then 60s Robin shows up and he's like, gee willikers, Batman, boing, zap, and like he just gets beat the fuck down. That's what this match felt like to me, because Mankind is like a different level.
Well, yeah. Well, you also need to realize that Henry Godwin wasn't supposed to originally wrestle this match. It was originally supposed to be Mankind versus Jake the Snake. Now, apparently, nobody told Jerry the King Lawler that it wasn't Jake the Snake because he spends the entire match just bashing Jake the Snake and his alcoholism.
Wait, I missed all of that?
So this is
behind the
The
scenes.
bashing Jake the Snake is on purpose. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's setting up they're gonna go into a program.
Spoiler, Eric.
Yeah, they're going
Yeah,
into a
well.
program. So that was all done on purpose. But Jake the Snake was the last minute replacement replaced by this. And I can't imagine the crowd was happy about it. It's like, imagine being sold like, oh, you're gonna see Roman Reigns versus Triple H, and then you show up that day and they're like, never mind, you're gonna see Roman Reigns versus
Goldust.
No, worse.
No,
Let's
Mojo
think of, like,
Rawley.
but no, it's like
No.
a tag team that no one cares versus like Connor from the Ascension. And you're gonna be like, what the fuck? Like that would. So I think honestly, what happens? The crowd was probably booing so much. I think that in the video they probably muted it and added the entrance music back in post. Because WWE loves to do that. They will go back and they will mute. Even like if you watch stuff now, like with Roman Reigns, whatever that we watch live. You go back and watch some of the watch it again on WWE Network. They'll mute the boost, the crowd. They'll do stuff like that.
God, I keep.
So there's a good chance that that's what you're noticing.
At every point, I always wind up noticing how fascist Vince McMahon and WWF/WWE are. Do you think Stephanie will be better?
100%. I think Triple H and Stephanie will be way better. 100%.
Well, I mean, we're already seeing that. NXT is just such an amazing product.
Yeah.
As much as I love WWE right now.
Yeah, and there's parts of, obviously I enjoy it a lot, but I think Stephanie has a much more of a business savvy and is less like Vince McMahon has a lot of weird sexual kinks.
Yes.
And he's like a not stable person. And I think like he injects it into the product
Very
in
good
ways
announcer,
that are
though.
so gross. Well, he's got fully functioning facial muscles. So for you already that puts him
Right.
pretty high up.
It helps when you
Right,
can
Eric?
move your jaw.
Jesus.
So I don't know. Did we didn't really get anything new as far as Mankind, as far as like his development as a character in this one here.
No, this was not the Mankind spotlight.
I have a note though that first of all, a couple things. I think Mankind wore a weave because hair does not tear out that easily, or it was pre-torn. That he would just kind of like it came out so easily. There's no way he was like really pulling out a giant tuft of hair like that.
I don't know. I think he was.
I believe it.
I really do. And he had the bald spots in his head, and I'm like
it might be a work. Like it could be a work, but I could totally buy it.
He may have pre-cut some pieces before the matches, but I mean, like, he got big old bald chunks in his head, and he's a crazy person.
I agree. But I still think you guys got worked a little bit. I'm gonna say, is that the verb I can use? We got work.
Nice job, Eric.
I also. What were you gonna say? I was also gonna say, doesn't matter if it's whatever the guy is from. Hog.
Yeah, Henry O. Godwin.
And
Phineas I. Godwin.
And Hillbilly Jim.
Yeah, no, I get it. So this was Henry, right? So even doesn't matter who it is. Mankind immediately makes any match better.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
There was a concrete fall. That was great.
That bump was... I mean, those are the kind of bumps we don't see anymore because there is truly... They're just killing that man. That's why he cannot... That's why he, like, has a limp now. Because, like...
Poor dude.
There's no... I mean, like, that... Those are the bumps that... there's nothing. There was no trickery there. Like, he's just being thrown onto concrete, and it hurts.
I also have a note that I think the mandible claw in Henry Godwin is almost like glove hygiene versus mouth hygiene. It's like when they both like have a beam against each other and you're like, who's gonna win? Like, I don't want to put my finger in Henry Godwin's mouth, and I don't want like Mankind's finger in my mouth. There's no winner there. They both lose.
But also the physics of the mandible claw, where it's just putting a finger in somebody's mouth until they pass out.
Yeah, I'm very confused. I think what they were selling at the time was that there's a pressure point under the tongue. Like, that's, I think, what it was.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot that from science.
I thought he was a choking victim, and he was clearing out the airway so he could eventually do CPR.
It is one of the more ridiculous things.
The last thing about the match is it occurred to me when I watched it the third time, is the victory music for Mankind supposed to be like the calming music that soothes the animal? Because like it's different music, right? The music that he comes out to is a little bit more like Silence of the Lambs, and the music that he leaves to when he wins is more like Twin Peaks. But it seemed like it's like music to just kind of like to turn him off.
Like, that's a cool idea. I don't think that WWE thought that much at this point.
I wish they sold
I think that's a really cool idea that he like has like trigger music, like he's like Black Widow or something like that.
I'm gonna put that music in, and I'll put it in around here, and we'll do a comparison.
Great.
This is the entrance music. And this is his victory music.
Bobby, I had a question for you.
Uh-huh.
Burger King crowns.
Yeah.
Is that just to make fun of Jerry the King Lawler? Is there a Burger King in every stadium? Because I was watching the Raws leading up to this as well, and like the entire first row, all in Burger King crowns.
You know what? Honestly, I don't know. I don't think it's either. I wonder if there was like a Burger King sponsorship. I don't know. I can't recall. Because I wasn't so tied into brand synergy when I was like 11. I was just like, cool. So yeah, actually, I don't know.
I had another question for you. Did you ever call the Superstar line?
I often tried, but there was like a lot of like waiting and backlog. They used to do also a show, Hotwire, I want to say it was called. It was Saturday mornings. It was like 11 o'clock a.m. And I tried to call literally every single week and never got through. And I can't imagine what it actually what would happen when you get through.
I know what would happen is your dad would be like, I just saw the fucking telephone bill. We need to have a fucking talk.
Truly, I think it was called a Hot Wire. That it was just it was like a recap show, basically hosted by Todd Pettengill. It was like a recap show, and you the same thing. You called in, you would talk to whatever superstar. I guess it was very part Andy Cohen, part Chris Hardwick.
Watch what happens. Hot Wire. No Chris Hardwick on this show.
Canceled. But it was very. I used to try a lot, though. Again, I don't know what I expected to happen. Could you imagine if they did answer? I'd be like, "Hi."
Well,
I'm Bobby Hankinson.
well, this week we did have Brian Pillman, and I can't wait to see that guy in the ring because this is two specials now that we've seen with him just spouting off.
I don't think we ever see him in the ring.
We see him do some things.
Okay, I don't want to hear
But
it.
I don't think we see him, or we see him wrestle very minimal matches. He gets injured very quickly, I believe, at a house show, and I feel like we don't see him.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
Almost ever in the ring. But him and Steve Austin were tag team partners in WCW.
Mm-hmm.
Last time he mentioned raping.
Mm-hmm.
This time he goes
And pillaging, Eric.
And
don't
sorry,
take him out of
right,
context.
I always pillaging
he was doing his crazy sexy Viking thing.
Sure. Crazy Sexy Viking, the
new show
album
on
by
AMC.
TLC. But this time it was they want to double team Sonny.
Which honestly probably at the time was true. Everyone was. That's the thing.
Hey, if it
Look, I
was
don't begrudge
something, if
her.
Sonny was cool with it, then
I don't
it's
begrudge
great.
her owning her sexuality or whatever, but I'm just saying.
Has someone put together an oral history of WWE at this time?
Well, there's this great website called Pro Wrestling Stories or something. And basically all they do is compile stuff from all these other wrestlers, autobiographies and all these interviews and stuff, and basically just compile oral histories based on that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where I got all this stuff about Sonny or whatever. It's all from their individual books and all from other interviews and stuff they've given in the past.
Did Sonny write about it in her
Sonny,
book?
she's talked about it. I don't know if she has a book, but she's talked about it in interviews and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Podcasts and things, because she'll show up. I mean, we can have her here probably, honestly.
I would love that. I'd love to ask her about the time that she had music playing in the background and she couldn't get the top off.
I'm sure she would love to
That's
talk
all
about
she
it.
wants to talk about. By the way, so what's the goal of the Superstar line in terms of do they finish the match and then they have to have a verbal match against each other? Why was everybody there?
Confused. Yeah, but also they're in separate rooms. Are they fighting? They all really mad? I'm like, are they?
Yeah, they're all in the same building.
Are they talking to each other? Are they mad at fans? Are they differently mad? I don't I'm so confused.
They seemed like they were arguing,
yeah, But were they
like
arguing with each other though, or were they talking to other people? Because also, why would they be on the phone in the same building? But also,
no,
why
I
would
thought they
be
were
arguing?
talking. I thought they were talking to Sonny and
But
stuff.
also, why would they set up a
each other.
hotline to talk to your favorite superstars?
Hey,
either?
all right, listen, we have Twitter now, but so before that, that's basically what we're doing now. They're sliding the DMs.
Do you think for people who called in, it was mostly just you get to listen to these other WWF superstars talk to each other, and they're like,
Hey, welcome to the party line.
Well, you brought up Brian Pillman's tag team partner, Stone Cold Steve Austin,
Did.
and then we get into Stone Cold versus Mark Marrow, which is basically the exact same match that we watched at King of the Ring.
It's a little less good,
good.
but it's a little less good than King Ring match, but it's still a good match.
It's a good match, yeah.
On a card that had a lot of shitty matches, this was pretty good.
They did okay. I noticed that there was already an Austin 316 sign. It immediately jumped in.
It caught fire.
It caught
Absolutely.
fire so quickly.
He's great, and he's so good.
He's so great, as the King told us, that he got an injury in the last match where his lip was split all the way to his chin.
Like a hair lip is what he said.
It was like his entire face opened up and beetles were crawling out.
Oh man.
They went to bone. It was a skull. I noticed also in the entrances, I noticed that there was a guy ringside who had the same facial hair as Mark Marrow.
Which is a kind of a tough look to pull off.
Right? I was like, is he cosplaying? Is he
God.
Marrow's brother?
There was also a lady with the same outfit as Shawn Michaels.
That was me, actually. I like this
11-year-old
match
Bobby.
a lot. And it's so weird to watch these old pay-per-views because I think we're so spoiled now by all of the flippies. What do? They do so many flippies on TV now. Like everyone's so athletic, all the suicide dives and the planchas and like everyone like the tope suicidos and like all that stuff.
Yeah, I think you said in the last one, it's like, what a high flyer, Mark Merrow.
Cross body press, yeah. But this one he did a standing moonsault to the outside. That was pretty good. A flipping senton. I thought some good stuff out of him.
I know all of those, and I was very impressed.
Hey!
No, I don't.
Oh.
I don't at all. I'm sorry.
Oh, they were flipping senton's the one where he does like a somersault onto him from the apron to the floor.
Oh, okay, that was
And
cool.
then the moonsault's the backflip from the apron to the floor. He did on the other side of the ring. Those were some good spots.
I noticed that this match had the second bridge of the night where somebody, I think Merrow actually had Austin on top of him and he bridged out of a pin. And that was 2 bridges in 2 matches. I'm keeping a bridge count.
Wow.
Which one is the bridge too far?
Yeah.
Are you purposely trying to fucking handicap me?
But yeah, I mean, I really just don't have much to say about this match because we just saw the same thing.
And it was just a good match. I feel like there was like no real story progression. I guess it might have been. I guess this was the blow off of this feud, and I imagine the program ends here. I can't really remember off the top of my head, but I imagine the program's going to end here.
Except we did have a cut to Marlena and
an
a
American
creepy
Online.
bellhop.
Yes.
They said Usher, and I was like, Usher?
Yeah. Next thing I knew.
But it was Marlena on...
Goldust comes out, The Fall of the House of Usher, 1943.
It was Marlena on America Online, but I think Marlena's understanding of America Online is that you have somebody type out a physical letter, because I'm pretty sure when she delivered that, when the usher delivered the envelope to the table, I think that was her version of an IM.
Yeah, I'm still very confused.
They
email.
never opened
Yeah,
that
right?
envelope.
Right?
It was Chekhov's envelope.
Yeah, it was the worst Chekhov's envelope.
Yeah, it was so weird in the middle of a match to walk. I was like,
I
we're not gonna talk
I
about
think
this?
the British Bulldog's wife was supposed to come out and open it at some point.
Jake the Snake, but he was in the bottom of a bottle somewhere. He couldn't come do it.
A bottle of Thunderbird.
So what Lawler says about Austin is he's the kind of guy who would shoot at the welcome wagon, which that just sounds like he's saying that Steve Austin is ungrateful.
I feel like Jerry Lawler comes up with aphorisms that I'm like, has this ever been said by a human person ever in the history of time in memoriam? Like, ever had, like, he just says things
Like sometimes you got beans coming out of your eyes.
he's got a flapjack over the cuckoo nest. And you're like, what?
It's a little like he like came out of a coma and like, and he hasn't quite.
Oh, actually, Eric, he just came out of a coma.
I can't do it. I can't keep guessing.
Eric, you're not allowed to accuse any of these people of having physical ailments anymore. Because it is a rough industry and they have given their bodies
Almost like
to
he had
us.
CTE.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they all do. I know. That's the joke. Come on.
Anyway. I love my role as like the Meredith Vieira of this podcast, just moderating us along.
And then you're being told you're gonna watch Goldust versus The Undertaker in 1996, and you're like, "Fuck yeah, I'm watching Goldust and Undertaker
In their
1996," and watching half is just Goldust running away from The Undertaker.
It was terrible.
The fucking worst. So,
What the fuck was this?
couple things about this. By the way, I want to point out Jerry Lawler also said, "You get some toothpaste because I guarantee you some of his teeth are loose." I don't think he knows what toothpaste is. I think it's like he got kicked in the face, and he's like, "You better get some toothpaste."
You better paste them teeth
That's
back in.
It's not like paste, like tooth glue. But one thing I have about the Goldust versus Undertaker in the entrances, I have a note that was basically like, if you're seeing Goldust's entrance in real life, it's the fucking most boring thing ever, because all of that is post-production. Mm-hmm. Everything was like a different frame rate and like weird camera angles, but if you're just there, he's just this guy who's like kind of walking around.
He's wearing a wig.
Whoa. Yeah.
And Goldust has never been the most fashionable, but this outfit for tonight...
my note was, I want to give Goldust a tailor. Like, it is somehow both riding up in the front and the back. Like, how is this? How did you put this on and be like, I'm going to wrestle in this? I'm going to do intense physical exercise in this.
I couldn't not
like,
look at his
shit.
dick. I could not look at his dick.
I mean, like, everything, it was full. Also, it was like the ugliest color gold. And his stuff, like, his gear now is like shiny and cool.
And
looking.
like a weird print, like a checkerboard kind
Yeah,
of
it was like a weird
almost
honeycomb.
like Gucci print.
It was Gucci man. It was like gold on gold.
It
wasn't
bad. All of it was so bad.
I also noted that they said the most bizarre individual in the history of the WWF. Like, we didn't just see Mankind. Like,
He's the bizarre one though, Goldust, because they can't say gay.
well, yeah. I mean, queer has always been weirder than crazy in WWF.
Oh yeah. But Goldust, this match is bad. They don't do much wrestling because Undertaker was just coming out of the period where he was still like no selling, meaning that like he was like such a super powered individual that like nothing could hurt him, so he didn't sell any of the moves. That was like his thing in like the earlier 90s.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's still kind of doing that, though less so. Now, so the whole thing was just like awkward and slow and not fun.
And like weird shit like Goldust grabbing the referee as though you're allowed to just use the referee as a human shield and
For
not have
so
the referee
long.
like
Not a
call the
thing.
match.
For so long too.
By the way, I know, we have a lot of time to talk about this, but Undertaker's entrance, seeing it in back then made me kind of realize how bad cell phones can be, because it's very cool to see everything dark. I guess it's cool to see like the little firefly type of thing
With
that
Bray Wyatt.
Bray Wyatt has, but like it was very cool to see just absolute darkness for his entrance. I also wondered what Chopin would think of Undertaker's entrance. Would he be like? He's like, that's why I wrote it.
Yeah.
I wrote it for a heavy to walk out to.
Chopin just wanted like someone to pay him, so as long as he could get some royalties out of it, I think it would be fine. Hey, remember when you could just throw garbage at the superstars and not get in trouble for it?
Just like rolled up what napkins?
Oh, this is barely anything compared to what happens fan behavior in the main event. But we'll get to that. But yeah, no. This match was garbage though, and deserved to be.
How much time does Goldust have to spend on undoing the turnbuckle for no payoff?
Well, honestly, I think what a lot of it was, it's interesting to see. I'm like thinking schematically about how the ending, the finish worked with the through the ring stuff.
That I was trying to think of that too.
So,
by
like-
the way, I like that. I thought
I
that was
really
like
liked it.
it was like Mankind whack-a-mole.
Yeah, he popped out. It was good. I also think you saw like the wire cutters. After a while, the ref had to kick him aside because he had to like cut his way out a little bit. But I also think if you look the way Goldust is trying to undo the buckle, he's like laying more. He's not like right in the corner. He's like kind of at an angle. So I wonder if there's like a weak spot in the ring there and there for when they did this spot.
I was looking for like stitches or something
Yeah.
to see if it would come through.
Yeah.
I also liked when the entire audience was cheering for the Undertaker to murder Marlena.
Yes.
He's got the steel steps
Hit
above
a
his head
woman!
and just like,
Hit a woman!
Yes.
God, what
That is
an
amazing.
awful, what a dark timeline. God, the 90s.
and then just every now and then you get punctuated with a Paul Bearer just like, oh. Paul Bearer sounded like, did you ever play Super Mario World 2?
Of course.
He sounded like Baby Mario a couple times there. Just like,
I also noted that after this match, the security guard was doing a terrible job behind the announcer's table. This is not this is like
mugging.
the first of many times that I think the Vancouver, whatever stadium that was, just didn't live up to the task of hosting a WWF event because they just didn't know how to fucking control anything.
Yeah,
Everything
it was
a
a
mess.
month. It was a nightmare because they were focused on the announcing for so long because they were obviously like trying to like fix the ring and like after the two holes came through and all the smoke, and so they were like spending so much time on the announce team, and behind them were all those fucking doofuses, all those Canucks just sitting there like being monsters, and security being like, no fun here.
Yeah, they were like vamping for time. It was a lot of stuff, and there's like smoke. They're like, I think the ring's on fire.
But
And
also,
like,
I feel like we're kind of glossing over. Mankind erupts from the ring, pulls the Undertaker into the abyss beneath. Smoke shoots out. Mankind comes back out again. The Undertaker emerges from the ring, and then the battle continues. Like, that's fun.
Oh,
That
is
the boiler
very
room?
fun.
Yes, and do you know what that's setting up?
The Boiler Room match?
The Boiler Room
SummerSlam?
Brawl,
Oh,
which
I
is
know.
fucking
Gorilla Monsoon covered that shit.
I remember that and being like, oh my god.
I am very glad that at the end of WWE pay-per-views now, they don't go to Vince McMahon and interview him about what's going to happen at the next event anymore.
Because they want you to watch Raw the next night to get all that shit. Meanwhile, these Raws were filmed weeks in advance. So they had to do this.
If this man is still alive...
If he shows up, the Ultimate Warrior is gonna fuck shit up.
Ultimate Warrior or TBD.
If we can sober up Jake Roberts, we will.
Oh, that was the one when Jerry Lawler was like, "It's a good thing that the Undertaker did try to burn the ashes of Jake Roberts.
It would take 4 days.
It would take 4 days for the ashes to go out."
I was like, what?
Is that because he's
Soaked in
Because
alcohol?
he's soaked in
wet.
alcohol.
Yeah.
I thought that would
But
burn
alcohol
faster.
is
That's what I mean.
an
Accelerate.
accelerator.
That's why I was like, I don't know, dude.
Yeah. Jerry Lawler is bad at saying things.
That's good. I remember when I was a kid, I didn't watch, not this one. This one I remember, back then I never got to buy a pay-per-view. But I always, they would do the recaps in WWE Magazine, basically, and they have the photo spread and literally the play-by-play of what happened. And then I would also watch it scrambled, on pay-per-view. So I could hear it, and I can kind of see part of it.
I
And
remember
that's how I
watching
watched
porn
the
that
Boiler
way.
Room
It was
Brawl.
like, oh, I think I saw a tit.
I watched CNBC that way. Ooh, I think I got a tip.
So then it comes to the main event. First, we had an interview with Leather Daddy Shawn Michaels.
Oh my god.
Coked out of his mind.
We had Ahmed Johnson, who had just been to the mall and got his airbrush shirt. It's like, am I gonna get
Also, coked out of his mind.
Am I gonna get the unicorn in front of the rainbow? Am I gonna get Jack Nicholson from The Shining, or am I gonna get me in big airbrush all over my shirt?
I had an Ahmed poster, I had an Undertaker, Bret Hart, and Shawn Michaels poster hanging in my bedroom around this time.
And then we have Psycho Sid, which I want to talk about Psycho Sid before we get into the main event
Please.
a little bit. Because first, Eric, you will be interested to know that Sid is the father of multiple-time Big Brother contestant Frank Udy.
What?
I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Wait. What?
Yeah, he was on 2 summers ago, I want to say. The first one with Paul.
Yeah. Wait, which one was Frank?
Frank is the one who looks like a smaller version of Psycho Sid.
Hold on. I just want to look it up. Frank what?
Frank Udy. E-U-D-Y.
What?
Let me see.
What? It's Frank? That's... Oh my god.
Let us know when we're back to it.
We're back.
Wow.
This is back. We're cutting right to that.
Frank Udy
Holy
could get
shit.
it. Psycho Sid could also get it.
Psycho Frank?
Now, Psycho Sid, his first incarnation was Sid Vicious. Well, actually, no. He was known as Lord Humongous, which was basically just completely
Also,
rip
that's
off
my name on
of,
Grindr.
Mad Max?
Of Mad Wax. Yeah, Road Warrior. But he then became Sid Vicious, which he was just like, oh, that's a name that somebody else called himself.
You would think.
I'm just going to call myself that. Then he was Sid Justice. So he was a heel as Sid Vicious.
Sid Justice sounds familiar to me.
Face as Sid Justice. Which makes me think there were other Sids in there too.
One thing I have to say about
Sid Competent.
He was Sid Competent, or was he found Sid Competent by the state? I'm
Sid Irritated.
I'm uncomfortable with Psycho Sid's diagnosis. I think it's
As an advocate for mental health.
Yeah, I think it's very insensitive, and also not to stigmatize psychoness, But it would be a little bit more fun if he like uttered nonsense in his promos. Like he kind of made more sense, and I wanted him to just be like,
Oh yeah, if I watched the three of these guys in an interview, I'd be like, I'd point to Ahmed Johnson and be like, he's the psycho one, right? He's the psycho. Is that the psycho?
wait,
he's the psycho, right?
Wait, you would look
Which
at
of
a
these
guy
guys is psycho?
with zebra leather, and you would go, no, he's fine.
No,
You know
I
that.
would pick the guy with his own airbrush t-shirt on. I'd be like, you okay, sir? You need some help, little buddy? You need some help?
But also, I again, I need to go into his past a little bit more because he was also a member of Ric Flair's famous stable, the Four Horsemen. And he was brought into the Four Horsemen when the Four Horsemen were feuding with Sting and RoboCop.
Wait, actual RoboCop?
Actual RoboCop.
I don't know, and this is news.
Bobby
to me.
right now is waving his hands in the air.
I can't. I'm going
Like a Muppet?
Full Muppet. I can't. I'm so WCW ignorant. That is shocking and not at all shocking at the same time.
Yeah, so they needed to combat the overwhelming force that was RoboCop, so they brought Sid into the picture.
Yeah, the other fun fact about Sid Vicious is that Psycho Sid is that his hair is actually chicken flavor ramen noodles.
and it looks like it's like about 15 seconds into when you add the water.
I will say, aesthetically, Psycho Sid is also pioneering something I'm very proud of to see Drew McIntyre continue, which is like the big hairy titties that I'm very into. He got the big hairy titties, and I'm very into it. Drew McIntyre is a similar body type, also very into that, despite the long hair. These three, the people's
He's just kind
Posse.
of going back into that Diesel role, isn't he?
Drew McIntyre?
No.
Oh, Psycho Sid?
Psycho Sid.
What's
Yes.
the Diesel role?
He was sort of like Shawn Michaels' muscle.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
Shawn Michaels
yeah,
is a little
yes.
guy. Diesel's a big guy.
There's an argument to be made that the Attitude Era actually started with Shawn Michaels and Diesel's match at one of the In Your Houses.
Yeah.
Was this before this?
It was
Yeah.
it was before.
Okay.
But Diesel and Razor Ramon went over to WCW, and that was part of like the big feud that went on between the two and the Monday Night Wars.
Is Razor Ramon going to come back, or do I miss him completely?
Oh.
Oh, no, don't tell me. Don't tell me. Can I just say also, Shawn Michaels is dressed like a backup dancer for MC Hammer?
No.
You don't think he's MC Hammer?
No, I don't think MC Hammer's accurate. No. I think he's like a backup dancer for like a 90s George Michael.
Okay, 90s George
yeah.
Michael or Janet Jackson.
Maybe Janet Jackson. It's a little
During,
too
like,
whimsical. It's a little too whimsical for Janet.
Okay,
At
true.
this point,
I'm just gonna let you guys have this one.
I feel like George Michael. I could see
Culture Club.
Culture Club. Maybe even like an Express Yourself pre-erotica Madonna. I feel like.
Okay, I
Could-
get
could
that.
Be. It's a lot of leather.
Category is.
I mean, like leather zebra print chaps. I mean, like unbelievable. They were like making Goldust being queer as like a weird heel thing, and like their biggest face in the company is like this like motorcycle Tom of Finland pretty boy. It's like unbelievable.
Could you imagine him being in the sun for any amount of time and like the tan lines he would get? Because it's the amount of skin he shows. It's all like geometrical. Like it would be like a weird like a upside down T.
Well, if we're getting into outfits, there's something on Ahmed Johnson that I'm very confused about. Okay,
It's not the shirt. Is
not
it?
the shirt.
Okay.
Because like I've seen elbow pads, which makes sense because there's like contact in your elbows. I've seen knee pads, which makes sense. I don't quite understand the purpose of thigh pads, and I would really like someone to explain to me why thigh pads.
When you're a professional skater,
I don't know. Yeah, like is what? It's very. I was like, why
Thigh
the best? I
pads
was
coming
like,
from Apple this summer.
the thigh pad.
It is bizarre. His ring gear is nuts.
And the People's Posse, which I mean, like they're not a thing. So,
No.
but they just decided they needed to give them a name for this.
But they all came out separate. So I thought interesting that they also started this match off. You would think that the heels would all enter first. They all enter together. So you think they would all come out first, right?
Yeah.
Then you would think they would do Ahmed Johnson, Sid, the WWF champion, Shawn Michaels.
For the pop.
Yeah, like that's
Yes.
how you do these things. Like anything
No,
I've ever
no.
seen, like that's how it works. Like the heels will come out first, especially if the heels are coming out at once. They come out first, then the least famous, the second most famous, then the big champ, star of the show. Instead, Shawn Michaels comes out first. Fans topple the barricade. They are so excited. It is like they are crushed at like a Who concert. Like it is
once again
what?
A failure of the Vancouver Stadium.
People are running up and hugging him, and he's like, "All right, this is cool." It was like I was like, "What? Huh?"
Yes, it's crazy. I want to also say about the entrance that when Shawn Michaels goes into the ring and he's dancing, it kind of reminds me of you know that event for horses, dressage?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
That's what it looks like. It looks like he's a fancy horse.
Well, first of all, what's really funny about that you mentioned that is that there definitely is like moments in time where like Shawn Michaels wears a very fancy French braid, which looks very much so like a horse doing dressage. Maybe and I never thought about it until you just said it. And truly, like, the horse braid kid is my favorite thing I've ever thought of.
My horse prince.
But really, you guys, like, honestly, so Shawn Michaels' gimmick is he's a stripper, right? Like that's right. Like that's literally the gimmick. Like not
He's
kidding.
a
Not
stud
joke.
horse stripper.
He's just a sexy boy.
He's not a boy toy. The Heartbreak Kid, he comes out in all this like leather garb. He strips it all off.
He's a horse toy.
The Horsebreak Kid.
Horse toy.
Shawn Michaels.
Kid. HBK.
Oh boy.
So a fun match.
It was very fun.
Fun.
Very
Yeah.
fun. I thought it put Shawn Michaels over huge as like being gutsy and doing great moves. I think actually everyone looked great. Ahmed Johnson had some like really great power moments when he slammed Vader. That was great and super cool. When British Bulldog to the delayed vertical suplex.
The vertical. Did he lift Sid up by his dick? Probably not, but it looked like it was close.
Like a nightstick.
Or like a lever, just like going up.
Yeah, that vertical was...
Give me a large dick and a place to put it, and I can move the universe.
How much do you weigh? How hard can you be?
This is the match though where a fan bum rushes the ring and almost gets in.
Amazing.
Like really, I mean, like truly unbelievable.
And Ahmed Johnson looked like he was gonna fuck
And
him
British
up.
Bulldog, yeah, they both like ran towards the guy. Was like, oh, never mind.
He got to the top rope.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Remember like a couple pay-per-views in like real time ago where that kid got select, you know, like that fucking like VIP.
Nicholas?
Yeah, the Braun Strowman thing.
Braun Strowman picked him,
WrestleMania.
and that kid didn't want to do anything. This guy would have been the guy to pick because he definitely was ready to do high-flying shit.
Yeah, he was ready to. He was going to just get on the top rope, shooting star press. He was going to do the whole nine.
And it was also during like one of the quieter parts of the match. It was like
Vader
during like
had
a fucking
Shawn
sleeper
Michaels,
or something.
Yeah, he had him in that sort of like headlock. I guess I don't know what even it wasn't a sleeper, but whatever it was not great.
Yeah,
And
boring.
But then it's funny because you could see them like kind of talking about it during it. You could see like Shawn Michaels be like, "What's happening?" And Vader's like, "Oh God, try to jump in the ring. It's fine. I got it under control."
Ahmed's gonna take him.
They got to don't worry about it. We're cool.
And they did a really good job just keeping the camera on not that guy, to not encourage.
Even though all anyone sees is like, "Show me that guy. Want to see that guy."
Just
it was
do
actually
something.
it was Pussy Riot.
Yeah. It was James Ellsworth, actually. Young James Ellsworth.
I really like the Oklahoma roll between Heartbreak Kid and Owen. I thought that was really fun.
I thought the whole Owen Shawn Michaels sequence was really good. Like really good wrestling. Like wrestling that's so good that you don't usually see it then.
Yeah.
Back in these days.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they also use Owen Hart a lot to like he pulled that move where he accidentally would get his teammate. That happened twice in that match. There was also the third bridge of the night. Mm-hmm. Another bridge. This was a fun one. Oh, and then let's see. What else do I have?
You could call this Madison County.
Because there's so many bridges.
There's so many bridges. I don't know how many there are in that one, but probably.
There was a point in this match. There was Psycho Sid wants Shawn Michaels to give him a chest bump, and he wants it so bad. And the camera is showing us this very closely, and Sid is going to Shawn, "Give me a chest bump, give me a chest bump," and Shawn Michaels slaps him on the chest, and he's like, "No, I want a chest
is a bump, right?
with your chest, with your chest." And then Shawn Michaels finally got it. I was like, "This is agony. It is agony to watch this. Please show me." And can we cut to Diana in the locker room? Like, what? I can't.
Sid also was really big into like getting everybody close and holding them. Like
He was
at
just
the
happy
beginning
to
of the
be
match,
there.
He really was.
But
Was there supposed to be another person in that ring? Like was it
Ultimate
supposed to be
Warrior. It was supposed to be Ultimate Warrior. But then they replaced him with Psycho Sid, but Psycho Sid was a heel when we last saw him. And the last time we saw him, he powerbombed Shawn Michaels 5 times in a row. Like, essentially, like, tried to murder Shawn Michaels. So everyone was like, why are you here? Like, it made no sense.
But
truly.
He looked real excited. Like, I liked the choke slams. I thought he, like, they did that thing that they always do with a tag team match where, like, Sid was the guy who clears the ring.
Yeah,
and, like he
got the hot tag.
Yeah, it was a fun sequence for him. I was happy.
Well, and Sid's the kind of guy that you could believe could clear the ring. He's like Roman Reigns in that way. Like he's the guy that.
He's a little bit like Frank in Big Brother, where you really can see he can clear the house. I thought the crowd went apeshit at the end. Like, they really, really had a lot of fun with it.
Well, because a lot of the really fun stuff happened after the match was over.
Oh my god, they waited until after the
They had to give it to Camp Cornette, because otherwise Jim Cornette would have to pay $7, $8, $9, $10 million.
11, 12, 13, 14, $15 million. We don't know, guys. We're just estimating.
Do you think that this pay-per-view netted $7, $8, $9, $10 million?
No, actually, so this is a known fact. This set a record as the lowest buy rate of a WWF pay-per-view at the time, and it is the lowest buy rate they would have until the following December.
It's a real international incident.
It truly was. It was so bad. It's not just bad in retrospect. Like, it was bad when it happened. It's just bad.
I really like the power bombs. All the power bombs after the match were super fun. I feel like they kind of tried to get Psycho Sid off the hook with a Vader power bomb. Yeah. Like, because he was just like, I'm gonna do it. I was like, oh my god, this would be amazing. And they're like, we'll pull Vader away.
Yeah.
Like,
but I also feel like it was weird watching them do it. I would just like wonder how much the powerbomb has evolved over time, because it was so fast the way he was doing it. It was like now when you see a powerbomb done, they bring him up on the shoulders, they keep him there for a minute. Like, everybody's like, "Are you safe? Are you safe? Okay, go, and we're clear." Like, and then he was just like, "Whoop!" And like you could see them like in midair, like adjusting really quickly. And I was like, "That's how fucking people break vertebrae, dude. This is no wonder." But you could see the difference in like how they were handling that. It's such a common move.
Do you guys think that Camp Cornette sounds like it'd be a fun summer camp?
Better than Camp WWE.
Oh my god, right?
Network. A show I've never seen, but even the commercials make me want to reach inside my body and pull out my own soul and then crush it in my own
You
hands.
didn't watch it with us? We watched it once.
I've never seen an episode. It seems absolutely awful.
I hate to admit it because I don't want Vince McMahon to think that that he won in any way, but we definitely, after one of the pay-per-views, like in, I don't know, probably in the last year or two, we watched Camp WWE and we were just like, this is so
awful,
bad. And
even the commercials, there was like one where I don't know,
but it was longer ago than that, because
it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago when we lived together. And we were like, we could just keep watching everything. We'll just watch until one of us falls asleep.
That's what me and Nathan do now.
Yeah,
basically. That was the ending. Then they got to do the setup for SummerSlam.
I like how McMahon says, "This has been an international incident for sure. Several international incidents." Like, I feel like at the end of SummerSlam, they don't go like, "This has been a real SummerSlam, guys. We have completely WrestleMania'd." So many opportunities to WrestleMania tonight.
We have survived the series. We have put money in the bank.
I also like the Boiler Room match announcement.
So good.
We'll let him go and see what happens, which made it sound like it was like a wrestling road trip. Like, they just travel the world, just fighting each other in different places.
Man, if we could talk this much about a really shitty pay-per-view, I'm excited to see what happens. Next
Don't
time.
tell me if it's the next one that's a good one.
Oh my god, I forgot all the pay-per-views used to be presented by Stridex. It's very 90s, and I bought it. I used to like buy the Stridex pads and be like, yes.
Did it work for you?
I don't know. I never talked about this. My mom told me when I first appeared, she's like, I will not tolerate acne in this house, and so I was like fastidious, like nobody's business.
Your mom said I will not tolerate acne?
Yeah.
That's
and I always had really good skin. Yeah. I never really had like any bad breakouts.
Because your mom
I willed it so.
Your mom wouldn't tolerate it.
Yeah. She threw it down, and I was like, okay.
Well, brought to you by Stridex. For years, WWE hosted a yearly award show called the Slammy Awards. And we end every episode of Hell in a Cell Phone with our own version of the Slammies in a segment we call For Your Reconsideration. Gentlemen, what are your Slammies for this one?
I didn't have anything for last time, so I came with 2 to be over-prepared. I have Squealer of the Yearler goes to...
Wait, Yearler?
Squealer of the Yearler goes to, I think, Mankind and Paul Bearer, because there was a lot of like, and then, they both, I can't pick a favorite. They're both absolutely otherworldly in what they do. And then, okay, I also have A Bridge Too Far goes to International Incident with at least 3 bridges that I could count. If I went back, I'm sure I'd count more, but they were real big into bridges, and they would comment on every one of them.
I'm going with the PETA Wants to Vomit award to Mark Marrow and Sable for all the leather. Just everything just draped in leather.
I'm going to give 2. I'm going to give the Smokin' Hot award in an upset to Psycho Sid. I know. You thought I was going one way. Took a turn. Them hairy titties get me every time. Psycho Sid. And then I'm going to give the In Memoriam Slammy, of course, to Cloudy. And that's how I'm going to R.I.P. Gone Too Soon, you beautiful angel.
I feel like Cloudy wasn't recognized as, you know...
Thank you. Finally giving him the due she deserves.
As she should have been.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Hottest goes to Sunny.
Oh, not after that video. I need someone who can take their top off.
Love us, disagree, hate us so much it makes your brain hurt? Let us know. You can email us at hellinacellphone@gmail.com, or you can find us on Twitter at hellinacellpod, or each of us individually at Eric at Prime Silver, Bobby at Bobby Hank, or Aaron at Slow Pass. Please rate and review us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, and make sure you join us next time for SummerSlam 1996.
Guys, it's SummerSlam.
SummerSlam. Boiler. Could you imagine? Wait, hold on. I can't leave on that note because honestly, Boiler, like, what other matches could there possibly be? Do you want to do like a server room match where it's just a bunch of servers? Do you want? Should we do it?
We're doing an under the ring match.
We're gonna have a broom closet match.
I want it to be a Boiler Room match, but like a tie-in to the movie Boiler Room with Giovanni Ribisi and
what's his face?
Vin Diesel.
What's his face comes? Who's the one who gives like the Alec Baldwin speech in Boiler Room?
Is it Ben Affleck?
I think it's Ben Affleck.
It's Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck comes in, talks them up. They also maybe have a
You'll be fading out during this, right?
Yeah, probably. They'll also have a custodian who's just trying to get his job done. Like, poor dude. Like, why are they throwing everything?